Hello again. I'm sorry about that. This is the second time, 2 out of 3, that we seem to be having a problem. I hope we didn't lose anybody. My apologies, but for some reason, all of a sudden, we have a disconnect. And I don't know if it's because of location, whatever. I really don't want to move from this location since it's my home office, but we may have to do that, or a different location in itself. Anyway, today we're going to be talking about sleep deprivation, sleep problems. Fibromyalgia patients have quite a few, but this is a very, very common problem in our society today. There's a lot of causes or reasons for sleep deprivation. They could include just stress, whether it be home, personal, or business. Excuse me. It could be lack of melatonin. It could be some foods that you're eating. That's very, very common. A lot of people come in. Could be also conditions like restless leg condition that could be causing the sleep deprivation or inability to fall asleep. Or you go to sleep and then you wake up middle of the night and then you can't go back to sleep again. Well, the most common one that we find in the clinic, in our clinic, is caused by pain. And pain will keep people up. Obviously, we've talked about pain quite a few times. This is one of the side effects, obviously, of pain is lack of sleep, inability to actually sleep or get restful sleep. Now, there's a lot of answers supposedly for this. A lot of them have to do with medications. I've had a lot of patients come in taking certain medications. The problem with that is that the side effects. Many of the patients say they get up groggy, they don't get up clear-headed. Takes them about half a day for them to actually wake up and start to function properly. For fibromyalgia patients, that would be pretty bad because they already have fibro fog, and if so, they are not thinking clearly again. That really causes additional problems. So we want to make sure that you read the labels. If you're going to take any medication, make sure you read what the side effects are and how they might affect you. One of the things that is suggested is exercise. Well, for fibromyalgia patients, that's a very difficult thing because exercise for fibromyalgia patients can cause additional health problems, pain, and so forth. There's suggested Tai Chi and yoga, a variety of different things. A lot of foods are suggested, such as lobster. This would help you go to sleep, or salmon, or of course turkey, and then some other things such as rice, whether it be white or jasmine, or Swiss chard. Now, I don't have a problem as far as sleep is concerned, so I'd have to check with further with any of these. But I do know that over Thanksgiving, most of us have turkey, and most of us end up on a couch in a stupor. Well, the tryptophan in there really helps, and so that's one of the things that probably would help you go to sleep. Now, there's a lot of side effects from health problems from lack of sleep deprivation. They include high blood pressure. They include diabetes, cardiovascular problems, let's see, obesity, early skin aging. So all of these things are problematic as far as lack of sleep is concerned. For fibromyalgia patients, and this is based upon the research that we have working with fibromyalgia patients, we find that sleep deprivation or fibro fog or fatigue is actually leads to your immune system problems that actually leads to additional conditions. But the primary cause of this fatigue is the excess amounts of calcium and phosphate in your cells again. The phosphate causes the excess phosphate in your cells causes the mitochondria, the ever-ready batteries in your cells, to burn out, and they can't produce something called adenosine triphosphate. The adenosine triphosphate is your primary source of energy in your body. Just about everything that you do, whether it be my talking, my shaking my head like this, my skin growth, my organs working, so forth and so on, they're all very, very important, and they're all beneficial through adenosine triphosphate. The excess calcium in the cells is problematic for sleep problems because excess calcium excess calcium in your cells. Not calcium in itself, which is very important for bone strength, but excess calcium, if kept in the cells, actually produces, as I've mentioned before, your muscles to be constantly at a state of activity, which means your body is never at rest. Why is that important? Because your body never goes through what's called deep REM sleep. A deep REM sleep is where you actually heal. Your body actually regenerates itself and allows you to heal all those aches and pains and so forth, and give your body an opportunity to get back to a normal state. Now, one of the most common questions with patients that come in and in general is, okay, so how many hours actually is normal as far as to sleep? 6, 8, 10, 11? Well, actually, it's not really based upon the number of hours, believe it or not. Research, true research, actually shows that it has to do with cycles, REM cycles. And REM cycles are based upon 90 minutes. 90-minute cycles is what your body will go through. So think of it like this. You're going to go up and down, so forth and so on, like this. So your sleep should be in relationship to this number of 90 minutes. An hour and a half, which would be 90 minutes, of course. 3 hours, 4.5, 6, 7.5, etc. That is the correct amount of time that you should be asleep. Now, if you wake up in, say, a middle of that period of time, let's say instead of 6 hours, you're at 6 hours and 45 minutes instead of the 7, your body will probably be a little bit shaky, a little bit unsettled for the rest of the day, believe it or not, if you break that REM cycle. Believe it or not, that is why it's so important that you follow these instructions. Now look, let's say, for example, that you feel great and you go out and you party in the middle of the week and you got to get up early the next day, whatever it might be. Well, if, say, for example, you get home at 1:30, say, and you have to be up at 6, set your alarm for 4.5 hours, okay? That's okay, because the following night, you can make that up. You can make that extra 90 minutes up. Go to sleep a little bit earlier, or the next day, and so forth. Otherwise, again, if you do not do this, you will be shaky and unsettled. Now, if you only have, say, you normally get 6 hours and you only get 4.5 hours, well, you're going to be a little bit tired, maybe, but you're not going to have that real shaky, unsettled feeling. You'll be able to concentrate, do your work, so forth and so on, to take care of yourself. The only thing is that make up those hours that you lost, however number of hours that you usually sleep, over the next day or two, and that should really take care of it. So sleep is a real problem, but it can be treated properly if you just follow some simple rules. Again, first, make sure that you go through 90-minute cycles. That is where your body actually goes through a complete cycle of healing and rest. Make sure that if you are already taking medications, make sure you check what the side effects are. Oftentimes, the side effects are sometimes worse than the sleep. They will linger, so to speak. Keep in mind that if you do have fibromyalgia, you have excess phosphate and calcium in your system. We've already talked about what needs to be done in that respect. And so follow the pattern, follow the protocol that you're supposed to use with guaifenesin to pull the excess phosphate and calcium out of your cells. I would like to thank a couple of people, Lisa, for their communication. I was able to get back with her. We send messages to each other, and she did say some of the things that I've suggested have been helping concerning itching skin and bumps and so forth. Linda, who has had at least 12 years of crippling pain, we gave information as far as our protocol and some information as far as foodstuffs and what to stay off of, especially those things that are either inflammatory and or addictive, such as sugar, gluten, trans fatty acids, and dairy. And also Debbie, for the information I sent. Look, my protocol is very, very similar to Dr. Saint Amand's. Matter of fact, it's the same except for one thing. He gives patients a hypoglycemic diet because he believes that a great many fibromyalgia patients in his research have hypoglycemia. So he names it fibroglycemia. So he gives each patient a hypoglycemic list of foods. I thought that those restricted foods were not restrictive enough. And so I purposely took sugar, gluten, trans fatty acids, and dairy out of the diet for about 2.5 weeks. Then they're added a little at a time to find out whether or not these are problematic. If you stay on our pre-protocol for 2.5 weeks, 2.5 weeks, when you add a food that is inflammatory or addictive that you've not had in your system, you will have a bad reaction, whatever it might be: itchy, scratchy, sneezy, dopey, headachy, bloaty, all the different things, aches and pains, inability to sleep, all the different things, that symptoms that often people have because of this. So my primary differentiation is we took the hypoglycemic diet and we restricted it. It's not that you're not going to be able to eat anything. We're just taking those things that we know that have been proven to be inflammatory and or addictive in your diet. Otherwise, we follow the guaifenesin protocol 100%. And there really isn't any difference. We get a faster response from patients if we put them through this detox, so to speak, and they have a faster response, and we find that they get healthier much more quickly. I want to thank everybody for joining me again. Sorry for that glitch again, losing everybody for a few moments, but we got back online. Feel free to ask any questions you may have. These are saved at Fibromyalgia Wellness Center, each one of these talks, that the live videos that we have. So if by chance you miss this at work, you can always check it sometime later on to get the information. Thank you very, very much. Have a great week. Look forward to seeing each and every one of you next week. Again, feel free to ask any questions, and I'll get back to you as quickly as I can. Thank you very much. Bye-bye now.